16th. I want to welcome all of you to this morning's committee meeting. I'm joined by Mr. Tom Labange, so we do have a quorum. We have several items that we're going to go through today. Why don't we deal with the consent calendar portion of today's meeting? So if we could go to the Madam Clerk, if we could begin to go through the items.
Item number 1 is a Chief Legislative Analyst report and resolution, Englander Blumenfeld, relative to the city's position on the Smartphone Theft Prevention Act.
Okay. Okay, so on that item, Mr. Labange, I recommend that we adopt the CLA report and the resolution without objection. That'll be the order. Continue.
Item number 2 is the Chief Legislative Analyst 2 report and resolution, Parks O'Farrell, relative to the city's position on local control and regulation of massage businesses.
Okay, on that item, again, we'll adopt the CLA report and the resolution.
Wait a second. No. I want to continue this, Mr.
Oh.
Yes, as requested.
And you want to continue it till the next...
Madam Clerk, what date should we continue it to?
No, we'll do it the next meeting. We'll continue it to the next rules meeting. And I did have a note, Mr. Labange, and I missed that. So let's go to item 3.
Item number 3 is a Department of Animal Services and Chief Legislative Analyst reports and resolution relative to personal income tax deductions, pet adoption costs.
Okay, we'll adopt the CLA report and resolution on that item. So without objection, that'll be the order. Item 4.
Item number 4 is a Chief Legislative Analyst report and resolution, Wesson Cedillo, relative to authorizing city attorneys in participating jurisdictions to bring eviction proceedings against tenants for committing nuisance violations involving unlawful weapons or ammunition.
Okay. Madam Clerk, so who was the maker of that motion?
The resolution is Wesson Cedillo, and
So it's Wesson Cedillo.
Yes.
What do you recommend we do with Mr. Wesson's motion? I recommend that we adopt the CLA report and resolution. I was just funning with you.
Mr. Wesson, I concur.
Okay.
Good job.
Next.
Item number 5 is the Chief Legislative Analyst report and resolution, Labange Martinez, relative to legislation seeking funding for earthquake safety improvements.
All right. On that item, we'll adopt. Mr. Labange, you want to say anything?
I just want to say something. Earthquakes know no boundaries, no state boundaries, no county boundaries, no city boundaries. And I think with the help of the state and the leadership of the state, with our governor, we could try to find some mechanism to help assist in upgrading many of our older buildings that do provide great housing. But our challenge as modern technology is exposed, as Dr. Lucy Jones will say, some flaws in the safety of the buildings. In this particular building that we sit in here, this is an earthquake-safe building. It doesn't mean when the earthquake comes, nothing's going to happen. The key to the engineering in this particular building, as we sit in the John Farrell chambers, it will not pancake due to the structural strength that they put in the basement of this building. All those things took money, and that was a commitment we made in the last decade. But in the future, we have to look to the state to help the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of buildings that are privately owned. Thank you for your support on this, Mr. Wesson.
Okay, then without objection, we'll adopt the CLA report and resolution. We could go to the next item.
The next item is item number 6, and that is the Chief Legislative Analyst Report and Resolution Englander-Bonin relative to legislation to create a Medina alert system for California.
All right, we'll adopt the CLA report and resolution on that item. Let's move to 7.
Item number 7 is a Chief Legislative Analyst Report and Resolution Wesson Busciano Englander relative to prohibiting the civil compromise of a misdemeanor when a driver fled the scene of a collision.
Okay, we'll adopt the CLA report and resolution on that item. 8. Next item.
Next item is item 8, and that is a Chief Legislative Analyst Report and Resolution Parks Carets relative to support of research to develop a pharmaceutical version of a cannabis extract.
Okay, so on that item, without objection, we'll adopt the CLA report and resolution. Next item.
Next item is item number 9, and that is the Chief Legislative Analyst to report and resolution Price O'Farrell relative to the city's position to support a Proposition 41, which is the Veterans Housing and Homeless Prevention Act of 2014.
Okay, on that item, we will adopt the CLA and CLA report and resolution as well. Yes, Mr. Laban.
Mr. Chair, on that issue there, and it may be the CLA, if they could listen to this at all, I would like in this act, if it's already written, I'm not going to mess with something that's already written, but also that counties identify public lands where housing would be appropriate for housing for our veterans. Often, a lot of times, and I'd say to my friends of West Los Angeles, there's the Sawtelle home, all that land out there. Couldn't they make some housing for our veterans right out there in West Los Angeles on county-owned land? But this may not be is this bill totally written? So there's no, John, please go over there because this is an important issue. John Wickham, please. Question is, how could we, if the state does pass this here, that counties are encouraged to identify public lands where it would be appropriate? Or do we have some other mechanism to make that voice?
Yes. Gabriel Salazar with the CLA's office is here. He can answer your questions. John Wickham with CLA. This measure is already on the ballot for the bond funding. So the question is the follow-up on how the bond funding will be spent. And Gabriel might have some more information.
Yes, so the bonds, yes, the bill is for the voters to authorize $600 million in bonds for affordable housing for veterans that are low income and also extremely low income. So it's to encourage and developers to build that type of housing.
Got it. So if this does pass, then we may want to raise that voice, Mr. Wesson, to try to encourage any lands in any counties that would be appropriate for housing. So that's all. So I don't need to ask for a right or anything. This is on the ballot.
Fine.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so on that item, we'll adopt the CLA report and the resolution. Madam Clerk, Madam Clerk, blah, blah, blah. What's the next item?
Next item, Mr. Wesson, is item number 10, and that is...
You know what I think we want to do? I think I want to hold 10, 12, and 13 because I have requests for comment. And let's go to item 11.
Item 11 is a Chief Legislative Analyst to report resolution Carezzo-Farrell et al. Relative to action which condemns the government of Brunei for adopting laws that impose extreme and inhumane penalties.
Okay, so we'll adopt the CLA report and resolution on that item. So again, Madam Clerk, all of the items that we've dealt with, we'll just move forward without objection. I want to switch and go to general public comment right now. I do have a Michael Haas, is it? Is it a Michael? We're on general public comment. If you please come forward. Oh, wait, excuse me.
Is it one or how many minutes, sir?
Let's go, let me see. Based on the time, we need to go 1 minute.
Yes,
Go
sir.
on, Mr. Haas.
Thank you very much. Michael Haas, PhD Political Science, and member of the California Senior Legislature representing Hollywood. I found that there's one agency of the City of Los Angeles that is at odds with the county, the state, and the federal government, and that is the Department of Aging. In particular, the Department of Aging recently held an election to the California Senior Legislature, and in that election did not consult the county, did not consult the state or the California Senior Legislature, and instead made up 10 new rules. I have this all in these documents. And they didn't even consult Bill Maher for these new rules. Second, the County of Los Angeles is the only place an elder abuse complaint can be filed. It can't be filed with the city. So that means that the city could be at odds. And I have more on the other
And if I could have the sergeants, he has some more data to submit to the committee. And Mr. Haas, I want to
No, I submitted it to you.
Mr. Chair,
I want to thank you.
the items are here already.
I didn't hear you, Madam Clerk.
The comments have been submitted, sir.
Okay. But anyway, Mr. Haas, thank you for your service. Okay, that concludes the general public comment. Let's now move to item 13. We do have cards from the public. We'll do item 13. If you could read that item, and then we'll have 1 minute on this item as well.
Item 13 is the Chief Legislative Analyst Report and Resolution Koretz, Bonin, Wesson, Parks, and Busquiano relative to imposing a moratorium on fracking.
Okay, let's start out with Dr. Tom Williams, Ruben Gonzalez, and Peter Payton. If you come forward. Yes, Mr. Williams. Good morning. Dr. Williams.
Good morning. Dr. Tom Williams, Sierra Club, Angeles Chapter, Fracking, Oil and Gas Committee's co-chair. Yeah. Small amendment needs to be done. It's not just fracking. It's not just acidization. It's all unconventional stimulation. That's SB4, which includes a lot of other things also. So add them all to your support. We strongly support this because it's basically just saying press the pause button until the state has finished their independent study, that an EIR has been prepared for SB4, and we have some concept of what the regulations are going to be from the Division of Oil, Gas, and Geothermal Resources. Just we support the pause button on it and amend it to include all unconventional stimulation.
Thank you. Ruben? And just let me announce that once we begin a public hearing on a specific item, once I get that first person to come speak, I do not take any other cards. So if you haven't submitted a card, it is too late. Mr. Gonzalez.
Councilmember LaBonge, my name is Ruben Gonzalez. I'm here on behalf of the LA Area Chamber of Commerce. Lots of conversations have happened recently that I've been a part of where folks are asking, what do you mean when you say that California or Los Angeles is unfriendly to business? As we see jobs leaving the state and companies leaving the state, this here is what we're talking about. When in the last session, the industry went to the table as a good corporate citizen and a partner to sit down and come to a compromise over this issue, and the result was Senate Bill 4, a bill that this city also endorsed. When we do that, when we come as honest brokers and come to an agreement and a compromise on policy, we expect it to be honored. And we expect it to move forward so that we can plan ahead, so that we can invest, so that we can make decisions on budgets and hiring and where we'll be moving forward as the process set out by SB4 is followed through. Instead, in the very next legislative session, we're given another bite at the apple from the other side.
Thanks,
Unacceptable.
Ruben. Thank you, Ruben. Good to see you again. Mr. Payton, followed by, is it a John Crouch, followed by Sarah Mitchell. Yes, sir.
Thank you for some time here. I represent Jobs First Alliance. I've got 30 years of working to create jobs. I was formerly a president of the ILW Marine Clerks. And my worry is when I see constant fighting against industry when we have a jobs situation in this city and in the Southern California region that is very serious. We've got a 50th anniversary of the war on poverty, and here we are, we're constantly fighting jobs and the creation of jobs for the future of where we can go. Do I believe in best practice? Absolutely, in whatever it is we put together. But I do feel that when you look at what we're doing to ourselves, and we look at 17 years to get projects done when they're 2.5 years in Memphis, 2 years in China, we're constantly working against ourselves in terms of our future and the jobs that we're trying to create. And I just really feel that when we come to these types of issues, we need to really look at the jobs aspect of what's involved before we jump in all the way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, again, Mr. John Crouch, Sarah Mitchell, and a Matt Goulet. Yes, sir. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is John Crouch. I'm a union steward for United Steelworkers, and I work for Tylen's Oil. And I worked for Tylen's Oil, worked in the oil industry in the Port of Long Beach for about 20 years now. I can say I'm proud of the work we do down there. We support our families, educate our children, and I think the resolutions that the city has come to is going to do a lot of damage to our ability to continue to do this. I mean, the real jobs that we have in the state of California are being forced out, and I'm asking the city to take a really good look at what they're doing before they end up banning the jobs that we do here and forcing us out of the state. Thank you. Please don't ban our jobs.
Thank you. Was it, there she is. Please come forward. And is that Mr. Goulet? And after you, Sandra Burkhart. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Mitchell. I'm with the Valley Industry and Commerce Association, representing more than 390 businesses in the city that have created over 100,000 jobs. A state moratorium on hydraulic fracturing is short-sighted. We will only see it increase our dependence on foreign oil and rob California and Los Angeles of significant economic potential. Hydraulic fracturing has been safely used in California for more than 60 years, but unfortunately there's a lot of misinformation surrounding this issue. SB4 has already put in place a new comprehensive regulatory structure for these activities. A moratorium is unnecessary and harmful. We ask that you do not vote in support of SB 1132. The loss would directly affect the city's budget through reduced sales tax, business tax, and ad valorem tax receipts, not to mention the economic impact of these earnings. A moratorium will only result in a loss of economic development and jobs that Los Angeles and California cannot afford. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Matt, followed again by Ms. Burkhart, followed by, I think it's a Brendan Huffman. Yes, sir.
Council members Wesson and Weezer, I'm sorry, excuse me, Labange, from what you've got Weezer in front of you there. Sorry, sir. Matt Cooley with
right
Cosmon Companies. There we go. Oh, fantastic. Voting clerk. I just want to mention that some key things with Cosmon Companies, Economic Development Advisors. 55% of the jobs lost, according to the EDD in the state, or manufacturing jobs were lost over the last 12 years in the state of, in the LA County. But the Department of Commerce points out that the top 5 least prone to globalization of all the manufacturing sectors include petrochemical. That's of 23. Average job paid $100,000 back at the height of the recession in 2009. And LA County has 5 times all other petroleum jobs from Southern California combined. So anything that affects the industry disproportionately affects Los Angeles County. I'm not saying we don't need environmental laws. We definitely do. What we need is the consideration of the job impacts to our area. The threat is more from Sacramento and not from southeastern Texas. Thank you.
Thank you. So Ms. Burkhart, come forward, followed by Mr. Huffman. And I think the next is an Al Sattler. Yes, welcome.
Good morning. My name is Sandra Burkhart, and I represent the Western States Petroleum Association. That's WSPA for short. WSPA represents companies that account for the bulk of petroleum exploration and production, refining, marketing, and transportation in California and 5 other Western states. We appreciate the opportunity to speak to you this morning. We urge you not to adopt the resolution before you, but instead support the full and complete implementation of the regulations required by Senate Bill 4, the most stringent regulations of hydraulic fracturing and other well stimulation technologies in the country. The legislature last year worked in a bipartisan manner to craft Senate Bill 4, and state regulators are now working to implement those regulations, which include a comprehensive, science-based study of well stimulation technologies. SB 1132 would erect an impenetrable barrier to safe and prudent energy development by establishing a circular review and litigation process from which the energy producers could not emerge. Again, we urge you not to support SB 1132 and support implementation of SB 4. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, man, good to see you. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Brendan Huffman, representing Coastal Energy Alliance. As you know, I'm also a DWP ratepayer for my entire life. And one of the things that excites me about DWP the past few years is reducing our dependence on coal power plants and investing in cleaner sources of energy, such as natural gas. If the city is going to support moratoriums on well stimulation and hydraulic fracturing, that's also going to impact our ability to produce gas for these power plants. As a result, we're going to increase dependence on other states and other countries' production of natural gas and petroleum, where they don't have environmental regulations nearly to the extent that California does. So this is a much more complicated discussion that I encourage the City Council to address. I would love to be here. I find this stuff fascinating, but I'm also interested in environmental standards, environmental goals that reduce greenhouse gas emissions for ratepayers in the entire state.
Thanks, Brendan.
Thank you.
Okay, and Mr. Sattler, after you, I'm looking for an Antonio, I believe it's Antonio Sanchez, and Elizabeth Shapiro. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is Al Sattler. I'm the chair of the Palos Verdes South Bay Regional Group of the Sierra Club, and I'm delighted to note that Council Member Joe Buscaino is second for this motion. He represents part of our area. I want to speak strongly in support of this motion. SB 4 has put stuff in motion, but it's not going to take effect for a while. In the meantime, there's a big loophole of time when things can happen without regulation. This would put this bill, SB 1132, would put a moratorium in place until SB 4 regulations take place and until the governor certifies that fracking can be safe. Also, I know this LA City is considering a local ban or moratorium, but you could have fracking from outside LA City affecting.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Mr. Sanchez, followed by Ms. Shapiro.
Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning, Council President and Council Member LaBange. Antonio Sanchez, I'm here on behalf of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 11. 2 reasons why we oppose this resolution. First is SB 4. The state legislature, the governor, they all agreed, they all approved. Let's move forward with the implementation of SB 4. Let's look at the results. Let's have strong oversight. Let's oversee the industry. Second is, and it'd be irresponsible of me to not mention this, it's the economy. It's our jobs. We have over 1,000 members that are unemployed. That's just in one of the trades, not including everyone else in the LA Orange County Building Trades Council. So please don't hurt these jobs. And we wouldn't be calling them good jobs if they weren't safe, if they didn't pay well. So we stand here in opposition. Thank you.
No, thank you for coming down, sir. Yes, if I could have Elizabeth Shapiro, and then there's a Sam. Sam, I cannot make out your last name. It says you're identified with the Sierra Club, so I'll let you tell me your last name. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Elizabeth Shapiro, representing BizFed, the LA County Business Federation, a grassroots alliance of over 120 business associations across our region, representing more than 268,000 businesses, including 80,000 in the city of Los Angeles. We urge you not to take a position in support of Senate Bill 1132, which is unnecessary and would upend the new and hard-fought statewide regulatory structure created by Senate Bill 4, which LA City Council supported last year. Thanks in part to your advocacy efforts, SB 4 passed and is now being implemented, creating a new comprehensive regulatory structure for hydraulic fracturing and well stimulation activities throughout the state. Since SB 4 has only been in effect for a few months, it makes no sense to suddenly change course with SB 1132. Moreover, the moratorium promoted by SB 1132 would be harmful to the city of Los Angeles. According to the LA EDC, more than 103,000 jobs and $67 billion in economic activity in LA County come from the oil industry alone. Oil and gas has been safely produced in the city of Los Angeles, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Sam, you come forward, and then after you, and I've always, Mr. Labange, wanted to try to pronounce this name because I think it's so cool. Craig Cadwallader? That's a cool name. Okay, Sam, what's your last name?
Sukatan, sir. Sam Sukatan, Sierra Club, CD10 resident.
Go right ahead.
I'd also like
CD10?
Yes, sir.
The district I rep. Would somebody get him some soda or coffee?
Thank you quite kindly, Council President.
Go ahead.
Other speakers will discuss at length how fracking affects jobs, how fracking affects land, air, and water. I would like to note that residents of CD10, communities of color, across the city and across this county will be the first to suffer the effects of hydraulic fracturing on their water, on their air, and on their land. I recognize that this is a difficult conversation, and I'd also like to note that those of us who support SB 1132 don't say an either or between SB 4 and 1132, but a yes and. That this puts the pause and allows us to review things, implement SB 4 more fully, and again, I want to thank the members of this council for their leadership on SB 4, on a city moratorium, and hopefully for a fracking moratorium. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Cadwallader. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Thank you very much. It's the first time I've ever heard anyone describe my name that way.
Oh, that's cool.
Thank you.
You just need to be the third. Craig Cadwallader the third. And we'll give you a few extra seconds. Go right ahead.
Thank you. My name's Craig Cadwallader, and I'm here on behalf of the Surfrider Foundation South Bay Chapter, and I strongly urge you to support SB 1132, the fracking moratorium. We can't undo damage that might happen, and I strongly urge you to support this measure so that we have coverage before SB 4 goes into effect, and protecting the air and water resources of the state of California is extremely important, especially for the city of LA, and I strongly urge you to support this measure. And thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Technical question.
Yes, go right ahead,
Want to
Mr.
say your name
Labange.
again, sir? Just a technical question. The last speaker.
You mean Craig Cadwallader?
Yeah.
The third?
Surf Rider Association?
Yes, sir.
I've never seen a surfer with a tie on, so I just...
Out of respect for you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for coming down. We appreciate both sides, those supportive of this and those against this. But at this time, though, Mr. Labange, I would like to recommend on item 13 that we do adopt the CLA report and the resolution. I think that it's time for us to move this conversation forward. So with a aye vote here, we will then move it to the council floor, and I am requesting your support on this one.
I got it. And then also, I just wanted to check, this does not impact the existing traditional oil well operations. It's just fracking.
Well, let me say this. It is not the intention of this body or where it relates to this item to interfere with conventional drilling. Now, there may be a need for some wordsmithing.
Got it.
And I am certain as this moves forward that it will be done.
Got it. Okay,
Okay.
good. Okay, so I support that.
All right, thank you. So, without objection, Madam Clerk, on item 13, that'll be the order.
Mr. Chair, the last item is item number 12, and that's the Chief Legislative Analyst Report and Resolution Carretzo-Farrell relative to requiring genetically engineered food to be labeled as such.
All righty, so I have cards on this one as well. All right, so Gloria Larkin, item 12. Is it Susan Wheeler or Willer? Yes, you'll be next. And, so you're making the day of it, Mr. Sattler. So you're the third person to speak on this. So, Ms. Larkin, please come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning
My
to
name
you.
is Gloria Larkin, and I'm here representing all Americans who care about what they eat. I'm requesting that you support the labeling of foods containing genetically modified organisms. Americans eat genetically engineered foods every day without knowing it. Are these foods responsible for the increase in allergies, skin, respiratory, intestinal reactions, food-related diseases? Are these foods responsible for the rise in autoimmune system diseases? Should we be concerned that laboratory and farm animals developed stomach lesions, excessive cell growth, damaged immune systems, abnormal blood and liver cells? All of us deserve to know what we're eating, and all of us deserve to know what we are feeding our children. Thank you.
No, thank you. Ms. Wheeler, followed by Mr. Sattler. Al Sattler. Yes, welcome.
Good morning, council members. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm in support of SB 1381. Our health is so important. I see this every day. I work in an organic restaurant in Santa Monica, that the children there get no GMO, they get no high fructose corn syrup, and these kids are alert, smart, and very recognizable in conversations. I think that the 20 years that GMO has been hidden in our food, we have seen health issues skyrocket in this country, and I think it's time to stop that by giving all consumers a choice whether or not they want to eat it, and by labeling it, we are offering that to the whole, everyone in California. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sattler.
Good morning, Al Sattler. And I wanted to, first of all, thank you very much and congratulate you for your expeditious processing of various items this morning. I wanted to speak very briefly in support of this. I think that we all would like to know what is in our food. It may well be that there will be more GMO foods going forward, trying to breed things to adapt to climate change, but I think still we would like to know what's happening there.
Thank you. Now, is it an Annette Aguilar or an Aret Aguilar? And then I want to say David King, but I don't know if that's it. So if I could get Mr. King to come. Don't run. It's okay. And Danelle Stallings, welcome.
Thank you. Yes, I'm here representing Latina mothers in California, and the problem with purchasing food that we want to avoid, many mothers want to avoid food with GMOs, and there's a list of about 50 ingredients that are derived from GMOs, so it's very hard for us as mothers to shop to avoid that food because we have allergies. Our children have allergies. My daughter is allergic to soy, genetically modified soy, so it'd be better for a label so that we don't have to spend all that time trying to find out what food contains GMOs. And as a Latina mother, the problem with GMOs too is that there's only, in reality, only 5 crops that have been genetically modified, which is soy, corn, cotton, canola and sugar beets. Those are mainly the only crops that exist that are really in our food in the U.S. And the problem with that is our corn is a staple food. So that's the problem with the Latinos. We're eating a lot of genetically modified corn.
Thank you. And your daughter is a sweetheart. Okay. So, thank you so much for coming down. Yes, sir. Mr. King, Ms. Stallings, and I think I have an Isabel Charleston next. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
First name, though.
My name is David King, David, and I am the founding chair of the Seed Library of Los Angeles.
Okay.
In 2012, the Los Angeles City Council voted for a proposition in favor of Proposition 37. In that year, LA County voters, the consumers, overwhelmingly voted in favor of Prop 37. In 2014, we see the tide changing even further, and more people are very concerned about what is in their food. As a consequence, your voters are very much interested in seeing SB 1381 passed. Regardless of where we end up with the research on genetic modified organisms and how they affect us and the environment, the truth is that food is labeled. We know how much niacin, how much iron, how much salt is in a given product. We should know that GMOs are in there as well. Thank you.
No, thank you, sir. So do I have Ms. Stallings, followed by Ms. Charleston, followed by, okay, first name Ann, and the last name begins with S, and I'm going to let you tell me what your last name is. So, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Danielle Stallings. I'm actually a college teacher here in Los Angeles. I teach over at LACC.
Wonderful.
And I train a few hundred students to enter the film industry every year. And so I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that the city college and this town rely on me to be well. Unfortunately, I'm a poster child for this chronic illness that people talk about that's on the rise, mystery conditions that nobody knows how to cure. And I rely on labeling to keep me healthy. By severely restricting my own diet, I have regained my health back. Not fun, but I have to do it. Likewise, my younger sister was diagnosed with MS about 8 years ago. She's severely restricted her diet, and she is now MS-free.
Wonderful.
No more visits to neurologists. So basically, we rely on labels to stay well and be productive members of society, so we need labeling of GMOs. GMOs are a product, patentable, so they are not produce.
Well, thank you for coming down, and thank you for all of the work you do with the young people. Right?
Thank you for being a Cub at City College. I'm a Cub too there. Teach. I had great teachers at City College.
I wish he would have had you. Okay, he would have needed that. Okay.
Hello,
So, yes.
Hello, I'm Isabel Charleston. Okay. Do GMOs pose a health risk to you and your family? You bet. The U.S. is the sickest industrialized country in the world. GMOs are not categorized as vegetables because they are not. They are categorized as herbicides or pesticides. In other words, we are eating pesticides that look and taste like food.
Relax.
Let me see. A recent study by scientists Anthony Samself and Stephanie Seneff linked glyphosate, the main ingredient of Roundup, Monsanto's Roundup, with autism, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's. Babies born without brains in Washington. This is a horrific national tragedy. Please wake up. What are we doing to our babies? Glyphosate has been linked to the same birth defect that the Washington State Department of Health reported to have found a high incidence of anencephaly. Thank you.
No, thank you for coming down. Okay, Ann, I want to hear what the last name is. Milla Brasino, and then I think it's Andre Douglas. Arlene, if you could bring my visitor. Arlene, bring the visitor. Yes, Ann.
Good morning. I'm Ann Shabte. Okay. I'm a mother, grandmother, and retired teacher also. I would like to address this issue and hope that the council would support that we have this labeling because we need to know what's in our food, obviously. And to label it natural is not the thing to do because it isn't natural. 64 countries worldwide already have labeling. We in the United States, the most democratic country in the world, should know what's in our food. We have that right so that we can make a choice what we give our families. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming down. So, please come forward. Please come forward. Wait a minute. Have I seen that baby before?
Yes.
Okay. I know that
She's
baby.
here for a cause.
I know that baby. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Milagros Briseño, and I am here to represent students. I am also a mom. I'm also a resident here in LA, and I am very concerned. I am here to ask you to support SB 1381, which is a resolution to label GMOs. I believe that we should all have a choice to choose whether we want to consume GMOs or not. I believe that if we label GMOs, we will be preventing a health catastrophe. I want to leave a better world for my children and every children, not only here but in the world. I feel that GMOs will definitely be a good beginning. And here with my child, I want to thank you.
Thank you.
For your time.
Thank you. Okay, is it Andrew? Please come forward. Followed by Bruce Campbell. Bruce, you here? Bruce Campbell. Okay. Yes, sir. Morning.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm an urban farmer, and I'm in support of SB 1381. Pretty fascinating thing. The reason we have labels on things today is because of a movement about 100 years ago called the Pure Food Movement, which originated because mothers were concerned that corporate America was putting morphine and cocaine and everything from kids' treats to headache medication. Today we know that organization as the FDA. This is a simple footnote in this massive trajectory of consumer sovereignty and information, and I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to implore you to support 1381. Thank you very much.
Andrew, you specialize in any type of crop in particular, or you just...
Food, sir, food.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I love urban farm. Yeah, Bruce, come forward. Mr. Campbell, I'm sorry.
Good day, President Wesson and Mr. Labange. I support endorsing SB 1381. Why are crops genetically engineered? Well, chemical companies like to patent the crop, and they try to achieve a certain trait. The main trait, which is on 80% of genetically engineered crop acreage globally, is modified to be herbicide tolerant. Mostly Roundup herbicide thus far, but there will soon be rulings likely to approve a new generation of genetically engineered crops resistant to Agent Orange component 2,4-D, which always contains dioxin contaminants. The second main trait engineered for is to have insecticidal bacteria in every cell of the plant. Those crops literally have to be registered with the EPA as a pesticide. Ascorbic acid vitamin C is allegedly healthy, but most vitamin C is ascorbic acid, mostly from genetically engineered corn. So also labeling genetically engineered food will also bring more international tourists to California. Thank you.
No, thank you. So that ends, Madam Clerk, general public comment on this item. It will be my recommendation that we adopt the CLA report and resolution, and it's my understanding there's some technical amendments. If you could read those amendments. Yes, sir.
Yes, Chris Concepcion with the Office of the Chief Legislative Analyst. Just one minor amendment, which would read as follows. In the CLA report, you would adopt the attached resolution Koretz O'Farrell to include in the city's 2013-2014 state legislative program support of SB 1381 Evans, which would require genetically engineered food to be labeled as such.
Thank you very much. So again, without objection, or Madam Clerk, so without objection, that'll be the order.
Technical question to the clerk over there. Labeled, will it be genetic engineered food? That will be the labeling, right? Because you had a phrase after that, whatever you just said. There's no option. It will just say genetic engineered food.
Correct.
Got it. Nothing else. Like special food made a special way. It will say genetic engineered.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, now with that said, without objection, that'll be the order. Okay, now, you need to say something on this item before we go to the next? Okay, some of you may be leaving, but in the council chambers in a few minutes, I do and have been doing ever since I was elected, pet adoption. So I do want to, since we have a good crowd, I do want to try to find a great home for, and what is her? Her name is Roxy. Unfortunately, she was found at a Home Depot. She's looking for a home. She has all of her shots and everything, and she's ready to go home with you today. If you're looking for a companion animal, you can't do better than Roxy. But I want you, Arlene, to say what type of dog she is, because I don't want to wind up on the news if I make a mistake.
She's a Shih Tzu mix.
Okay, thank you.
Repeat that.
Thank you. Yeah. So if there's anybody that has an interest, Arlene will be here, and we are looking for a home for this. I was going to mention that too, that we have maybe one of the greatest controllers that the city has ever known, Mr. Rick Tuttle in the back. Let's give Rick a round of applause. Retired. We might have to draft you back into action. In fact, I may have to draft you to adopt this dog. So don't get too close.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, sir.
And Mr. President, may I see, because I see a lot of young new faces out there. In the time following, hold on to your baby. Please visit the Tom Bradley Tower. It's a beautiful day in LA, and you can see the beauty of Southern California. We invite you to just take the tower, elevators up to the top. It's an open observation deck for you, maybe first-time visitors. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, and don't forget, our Roxy is available. So if you really want a companion animal, you want someone to play with your child, let's talk with Arlene and see if we can find her a home. Madam Clerk, I think we have one item left.
I am sorry, Mr. Chair. There's still item number 10 on the regular agenda.
Is it now?
Yes, sorry.
How did I miss that?
It was me.
I think I'm old, getting older. Okay, item 10, 3 cards. Mr. Sattler, you hit the trifecta today. Dr. Williams, if he's still here, and Mr. Cadwallader. So let's deal with 10. I have one item after that. Don't be shy, Al. Come on up. We're friends now.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Al Sattler, Chair of the Palos Verdes South Bay Regional Group of the Sierra Club, supporting your motion to support the bill for plastic bag ban.
Thank you. Okay.
I guess I'll say that if you've ever seen wildlife that's got plastic bags wrapped around it and can't get free, it makes you a believer in this. We need to greatly reduce the number of plastic bags blowing around, getting caught, and so on.
Thanks, Al. Thank you. Craig? The tie, the surfer with a tie, LeBron?
Yes, good morning again. Craig Cadwallader for the Surfrider Foundation, South Bay Chapter, and also I'm speaking on behalf of the 7th Generation Advisors. We strongly urge the support of the resolution for SB 270. I was very privileged to be here when the city of Los Angeles signed the bag ban into effect, and very, very proud of the city for doing that. We need this on a statewide basis. I personally go city to city to city to try to get these bans. And I know that's a little hard because we get a patchwork of different bans going, and we need some consistency. The grocers need it, and shoppers need it, and I strongly urge the support of this. We did a cleanup at Cabrillo Beach on Monday and found plastic bags and lots of other plastics in the ocean and along the shore where kids and mothers were playing. We really need to support this.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No other cards on that item. So on item 10, it is the recommendation of the chair that we adopt the CLA report and resolution. So without objection, that'll be the order. And if we could now take up item special 1, if you could read that item.
Item number 1 on the special agenda is communications from the city clerk and city attorney, certification of sufficiency of initiative petition, resolutions and ordinances relative to an initiative petition regarding the creation of a city health commission.
Okay, thank you. Mickey Jackson, and I have one card without a name, so I don't know who to call up. So Mickey Jackson.
Good morning. I'm delivering a message from Bill Rosendahl, who's celebrating his birthday today.
Happy birthday, Bill.
Happy birthday to Bill Rosendahl. He wanted me to convey to yes, for Bill. He wanted me to convey to you his thanks for taking this measure up and for your work on it, and to tell you what great folks you two are. I would have said you three, but Mr. Huizar isn't here.
He's here in spirit.
He's here in spirit. There you go. So good morning, and thank you from Bill Rosendahl, and thank you from all of us for your good work.
Thank you.
Oh, I think the other person was Whitney Angeron.
No, I don't think so. All it has here is numbers, and I'm not required to call off the numbers. No, I tell you what I'll do. I will allow you to speak your minute, but the next time, put your name down.
Residents of Los Angeles, we're all familiar with the issues of our health, our safety. So at what point is this city going to continue to make it better for all of you? In 2015, when I debut my new movie for you, you'll see how justice will prevail to secure health and safety for all. What attributions does this city hold to its constituents? Those of you here today listening in, those of you who are not. John Walsh has the best idea for all of you when it comes to health and safety, which is pay attention. So I was called in today to speak on behalf of the public for public interest of health and safety. This concern on item 1 should be dealt with through the county supervisor's office, for they have the biggest budget and they know how to run a budget. The city has continued to decimate our budget to provide us protection, health, and safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes comment on that.
Mr. President,
yes.
I did have a good conversation. Mickey spoke of Mick Jackson, our great colleague, Mr. Rosendahl. He wanted to let everybody know he strongly supports this. And so I wanted to echo what Mickey said on behalf of Bill.
Okay, anyway, and happy birthday, Bill. So, Mr. Labange, without objection on this item, will adopt the city attorney's report and the draft ordinance as indicated in attachment 1. Is that clear, Madam Clerk?
Clear, sir.
Okay. Any more business before this body?
No, sir.
Okay, now we still have, Arlene, are you still here? Have we found a, so don't forget, we still have Roxy who's looking for a home. If you want her, you better get her. I think she will be adopted today. I want to thank each and every one of you for waking up early and coming down this morning. Thank you for your input. This committee is now adjourned. Mr. Labange, if you could call the council to order.